Hello and welcome to another episode of What Travis Says. My name is Travis and let's talk about Doctor Who. More specifically, episode 2, The Ghost Monument. Now, last week's episode 1 had huge viewer ratings, probably because a lot of people just wanted to check out the show to see how it was going with a lot of the new changes. Episode 2 does not have that kind of novelty, so anybody who watched episode 1 and thought, nah, might not stick around for episode 2. So if you've not yet watched episode 2, The Ghost Monument, do not watch this video any farther because there will be spoilers. In this episode, we finally get to see the title intro, and it is great. The music is wonderful. I kinda expected to see Jodie's eye, but the music was great. It had a very classic Doctor Who style, but you know, without Jodie's face. Can I just say that even though there were a few predictable moments, I really enjoyed this episode. A death race across an alien world, a confident doctor trying to figure out what's going on, the reveal that the Ghost Monument is the TARDIS. It was great. It was kind of a fast-paced episode, but anytime there was a slowdown, it built the narrative exposition. And when the plot did slow down and no one was talking, a lot of the shots were gorgeous. If The Woman Who Fell to Earth was like Predator, then the Ghost Monument was like Pitch Black and Rat Race? Death Race? Rat Race. I'm surprised how the episode managed to balance a new doctor, her 3 companions, these 2 new racer characters, but it did it quite well. We get to see the Doctor be the Doctor, figuring things out while being surrounded by chaos. She still has the no guns rule, she is still the smartest person in the room, and she still has complete and utter faith in her companions. And this episode sort of builds the backstory of these 2 racers and their very, very different motivations. It elaborates more on the relationship between Graham and Ryan. We learn a tiny bit about Yaz and her family troubles, but not much, just a little tiny bit. Which means we're probably going to get more about her backstory specifically in an upcoming episode. We can see how the companions all have different outlooks, but that the dynamics between the Doctor and her trio seem to be working. Speaking of Yaz, one of my favorite scenes in the episode was about 3 minutes in when Yaz wakes up in that pod. There's a 65-ish second one-shot just panning around the ship while the Doctor is arguing with this guy that Yaz has no idea who he is, and it's just great cinematography and acting, and it's fantastic, and I love it. Also, in this episode, the Stenza were brought up yet again. Tim Shaw was the Stenza in episode 1, and in episode 2, the Stenza, they're mentioned by name, but we'll talk more about the Stenza soon. Another thing that we need to talk about very soon is the Doctor's past, the timeless child. We've talked about how Chris Chibnall wants there to be a plot throughout this entire season, and this seems to be a little bit of that thread. The Stenza, the timeless child, these are going to be reoccurring themes, but we will talk more about them soon, I promise. As we talked about earlier, episode 1 last week had a lot of novelty, but it also had a lot to prove. This week's episode 2 got to be upbeat, it was humorous, it had great action moments, and the return of the TARDIS. I know I said that one shot at the beginning of the episode was one of my favorite scenes, but the TARDIS reunion was pretty fantastic. I mean, the Ghost Monument reveal was awesome, but because of that, we knew that the Doctor was gonna get the TARDIS back at the end of the episode, yeah? However, even though we knew that that was going to happen, the TARDIS-Doctor reunion was still a very emotional scene. But the best part of that scene is directly before the TARDIS appears when the Doctor starts doubting herself. She apologizes to her new companions for failing them. She promised that she was going to get them off of this alien world. They believed in her, and she failed them. But in return, they tell her that they believe in her, that they believe in the group, that they believe that they can get through this. And it is right at that moment, that exchange of belief and trust, when the TARDIS decides to appear. I mean, they did take a bit of a shortcut, so it makes sense for them to show up before the Ghost Monument appears, but it's still a great scene. Still not sure how I feel about the interiors of the TARDIS though. I think it has a very different look. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but we have to see how it is in action. And either the TARDIS decides that they need to visit the past, or the Doctor convinces her new companions that since they are in a time machine that she can get them back before tea, and they decide to visit Rosa Parks because we know that that is going to be their next stop because of the next episode preview. I really think now we will get to see Jodie Whittaker's Doctor come into her own. Before this exact moment, she was like a bus driver without her bus. Get it? Bus driver because of Graham? Do you get it? Because bus driver. I'm really surprised he didn't make a comment about bus drivers in this episode. In the comments down below, let me know your thoughts on episode 2, The Ghost Monument. The good, the bad, the things that you saw that I may not have mentioned in this video that you think deserve to be talked about. Like I said earlier, the Stenza, the Timeless Child, these are things that I'm going to cover a little more elaborately in a future video very, very, very soon. But as always, my name is Travis. Thank you for listening to what I have to say, and you will see me soon. Soon.